Hey, what's up? It's Charlotte and I hope you're doing well. Happy New Year, by the way, although it's almost the end of January, the 31-day free trial of 2023, which does not come with a refund. It's been a while since I last posted because I've been a bit busy lately reading One Piece. I've just finished reading Book 3 Part 2 and now I've got 400 more pages to go. So this book is divided into 4 books and 1 epilogue, and each book is further divided into 3 or 4 or 5 parts. I feel like before the end of book 2, this book is kind of like a soap opera, and then after that it becomes very serious and heavy all of a sudden, and there are wars, balls, swallows mingled with Tolstoy's philosophies. And here's something that I really liked, which I just read this morning. To the men on both sides alike, worn out by want of food and rest, it began equally to appear doubtful whether they should continue to slaughter one another. All the faces expressed hesitation, and the question arose in every soul: for what, for whom must I kill and be killed? You may go and kill whom you please, but I don't want to do so anymore. By evening, this thought has ripened in every soul. But though towards the end of the battle the men felt all the horror of what they were doing, though they would have been glad to leave off, some incomprehensible, mysterious power continued to control them, and they still brought up the charges, loaded, aimed, and applied the match. Though only 1 artilleryman survived out of every 3, and though they stumbled and panted with fatigue, perspiring and stained with blood and powder, the cannonballs flew just as swiftly and cruelly from both sides, crushing human bodies, and that terrible work, which was not done by the will of a man, but at the will of him who governs men and worlds, continued. And here's another paragraph from Book 3, Part 1, Chapter 1 that I really liked. We are forced to fall back on fatalism as an explanation of irrational events. That is to say, events the reasonableness of which we do not understand. The more we try to explain such events in history reasonably, the more unreasonable and incomprehensible do they become to us. I really hope I can finish this book soon so I can talk about it in my wrap-up. And I put so many tabs on it, oh my god. Okay, the reason why I'm filming this video today is because I wanted to talk about the books that I got in Sydney. And I went to Sydney to celebrate Christmas with some of my friends, and the reason why I chose Sydney and not any other places in Australia was purely because there's a bookstore there that sells Japanese books and I wanted to read Japanese books. So I was like, okay, Sydney it is.
She needs to sort out her priorities.
Oh, by the way, all the books that I'm gonna mention are all available in English, so I'll tell you English titles. I got 3 books by Yukio Mishima, or Mishima Yukio, because in Japan the last name comes first. This is Confessions of a Mask. I've actually got it in English as well. And then this is The Temple of the Golden Pavilion, and this Kinjiki is Forbidden Colors. And I wanted to talk about the author Mishima Yukio because I did some research on him in Japanese, and a lot of what I found are not what you can find in English, so I thought I would share it with you. So you may have heard of Dazai Osamu, or Osamu Dazai, who wrote No Longer Human, which has pretty much gone viral on TikTok now. Mishima actually detested Dazai, and Mishima only met Dazai once, and during that meeting he said, "I detest your works," to Dazai's face. And at that time Dazai was 37 years old and Mishima was only like 21. So I was like, that's very audacious of him. And that's the main reason why I've been putting off reading his books for so long, although I know he was considered for Nobel Prize for like 3 times. But I picked up his books because I used to be a gamer and I watched a lot of PewDiePie's videos, and in one of his videos he mentioned his favorite author, which is Mishima Yukio, so I thought I would give his books a try. So Mishima Yukio was his pen name, and he was born Hiraoka Kimitake, and the reason why he used the pen name was because he had a dispute with his father about pursuing a career as a writer, and he didn't want his father to know that he was writing. And he was a very prolific writer, a playwright, a bodybuilder, and a martial arts practitioner. When Mishima was young, he was really fascinated by the idea and the beauty of a violent death in one's prime. And he was in his 20s during World War II, and he believed that his true destiny was to have died during the war in service of the emperor. But his ill health had kind of, robbed him of what he clearly viewed as his true destiny. So at the age of 30, he started bodybuilding, and he wished to create for himself a perfect body which age could not make ugly. I just feel like he had such a masochistic obsession with the beauty of one's physical body. For example, perhaps preparing for his own death, he liked to pose in his photos as a drowned shipwrecked sailor like Saint Sebastian shot to death by arrows, or a samurai committing, ritual suicide. And also he died by committing seppuku at the age of 45, but we'll get to that later. Mishima's first major work is Confessions of a Mask. And it is more or less autobiographical because it deals with his own discovery of his homosexuality. And in the book, the narrator concludes that he has to wear a mask of normality before other people to protect himself from social scorn in imperial wartime Japan. And yeah, that's basically what Mishima did with his own sexuality. The next one is Forbidden Colors, and it is about an old and misogynistic author who meets a young boy, and he sees in the boy's incredible beauty and homosexuality the perfect tool to torment and punish the opposite sex. When Mishima was writing this, he frequented a gay bar which became the model of a cafe in this book, and where he met and was enamored by a 16-year-old singer who later became an actor. This actor is actually still alive today. He is 87 now, and he's known by the name Akihiko Miwa, which is kind of like his stage name, and he's been using this name ever since Mishima committed suicide. So there actually has been a lot of speculations back then in newspapers and now on the internet about the two being in love with each other. I mean, we'll never know if that's the case, but Mishima was kind of open about his feelings towards Miwa. He was really infatuated with Miwa and his good looks. I mean, he was very beautiful back then. Here's a photo of him. And also, Miwa was the leading actor in some of the plays written by Mishima. So the two of them just reminded me of, Basil Hallward and Dorian Gray in The Picture of Dorian Gray. And you know what? Mishima also admired Oscar Wilde, of whom he also published an essay in 1950. And once Mishima said to Miwa that, you are such a great being, but there's only one flaw in you that makes you a terrible person. So Miwa asked what it was, to which Mishima answered, that you're not in love with me. And now fast forward to 1970, Mishima was 45, and after a failed coup attempt, he committed seppuku, which is, ritual disembowelment. And this is done by using a tanto, which is like a Japanese sword, to, slice open one's abdomen horizontally, and that is followed by decapitation as a sign of mercy. I'm still looking into Mishima's coup attempt because that was rather complicated, so I can't say anything about it now, but this is what I've gathered so far about Mishima. I do want to read 2 or 3 of his books this year to understand him and his ideals more before I think reading to his life. By the way, the last book that I got by him, The Temple of the Golden Pavilion, I don't really know what it is about, but by the way, the last book that I've got by him, The Temple of the Golden Pavilion, I don't really know what it's about, but I know it is considered his finest piece of work by many Japanese. Then I've got Naomi, and the Japanese title, Jijin no Ai, means a fool's love. And the theme of this book is grooming. I'm just kidding. It's about the Japanese fascination with the West in the 20s. So the book is narrated in the first person by the protagonist called Georgie, who is 28 years old, and the novel follows his attempt to groom a Eurasian looking girl called Naomi, who is only 15 years old. So it reminds me of Lolita. I always want to say Japanese books are so good because each one has got like a bookmark either, like attached to it, like this one here, or if the book is really short, then it's just got a bookmark inside it. Next up, I have Kokoro by Natsume Soseki. The English title is actually also Kokoro. So here's something about Japanese. When you write or type the word Kokoro or heart, you always use the Chinese character because it's a simple word and takes up less space. It's just one Chinese character. So I guess the reason why Natsume used hiragana, not the Chinese character, is because he was referring to, other aspects that are related to the heart, like courage, kindness, bravery, that kind of things. And so I think that's also the reason why the English title of this book remains the romanized Japanese Kokoro instead of just translating it, which I think is great. So this one, along with the 4 books that I just mentioned, are kind of like modern Japanese classics. So if you want to get into Japanese literature, if you like Japanese literature, then I would recommend these 5 books to you, although I haven't read any of them. The last Japanese classic that I bought is, can you guess its title from this picture? Yes, it is Lemon by Kajii Motojiro. According to Wikipedia, it is translated into English, but I don't know if it's still in circulation because I've looked everywhere and couldn't find it. Lemon is a collection of short stories by Kajii Motojiro, and the eponymous story Lemon is considered his representative work. And I wasn't actually going to buy this, but I picked it up and I read the first sentence of the book and I was kind of hooked, so I wanted to buy it. And the first sentence, 得体の知らない不吉な塊が私の心を終始押さえつけていた. And translating it into English is
12 seconds later.
An ominous lump of an unknown character placed continuous pressure on my heart. So the protagonist of this short story has a certain lung disease and is, just tormented by anxiety all the time. Kajii wrote this story when he was 24 and was diagnosed with tuberculosis, and many things from the story were actually drawn from his own experiences. The rest are some contemporary books, and I'm gonna go through them quickly because I'm gonna read them very soon. I believe, I hope. The first 2 are quite popular on Instagram. This one is Breasts and Eggs by Kawakami Mieko, Convenience Store Woman by Sayaka Murata, and both have won the Akutagawa Prize, which is one of Japan's most sought after literary prizes. Breast and Eggs is about, working class womanhood in Japan, and The Convenience Store Woman is about a woman, I think in her 30s, working at a convenience store, and it's about her life philosophy and all that stuff. So pretty cool. And I bought Earthling by the same author of Convenience Store Woman. The last 2 books I have are by Haruki Murakami, The One-Up Chronicle Volume 1 and Volume 2. It was first published in 3 volumes, so in Japan they still sell it in 3 separate volumes, but the English edition just combined the 3 into 1. Okay, funny thing, so I was looking at the prices of the books. The first volume costs $18 and the second volume costs $21, and the last volume costs $25, so it gets more and more expensive. And I decided to only purchase the first 2 volumes because I thought if I didn't even like the first 2 volumes, then I wouldn't even bother reading the last one. Congratulations, y'all. You just reached the end of the video. I hope you had some fun watching me babbling about the books that I bought. And I'm just gonna continue reading One Piece and fall asleep. Good night. Hopefully I'll see you very soon in my next video.